The campus bookstore marks up textbook prices 30% from the cost that the bookstore pays for the book. If the bookstore is charging students $137.54 for a textbook, how much did the bookstore pay for the book? Using our general approach to solving word problems, we've read through the problem now once and hopefully recognized the context we are working in is about the price of textbooks at the bookstore. We will read through it a second time to get a little bit more information about the context. The campus bookstore marks up textbook prices, so this indicates the textbook prices are going to be increasing from the cost the bookstore pays to the cost that the student actually pays. They increase the textbook prices by 30%, and at the end, the student will be paying $137.54. Ignoring the particular percentages and dollar values, we want to understand the general context. So the general situation that we're working in is that the bookstore is going to purchase a textbook, and they will pay the original price of that book. To this original price of the bookstore paid for the book, they will then increase the price of the book by some amount. We will refer to this increase in the price as the markup. Taking the original price the bookstore paid, plus the markup that the bookstore applied to the price of the textbook, we will then know the cost that the student pays. We want to read through the problem one more time to clearly identify what the question is that we're trying to answer. As we read through it, we should start to notice the question begins with, how much? How much did the bookstore pay for the book? Since that is the question that we're going to answer, that is what my variable is going to represent. I will use the variable b to represent the original price of the book that the bookstore paid. I will be sure to include the unit of dollars in this definition. Now that we have formally defined a variable to represent that unknown value of the original price, we can go back to the general concept we had, that the original price plus the markup would equal the cost for the student, and we can use that to come up with an equation. The original price of the book is the unknown, so I'll represent that with b. To that we will add the markup, which we will talk about in a moment, but we know when we add the bookstore's original price, b, plus the markup, is going to equal the cost for the student, which is $137.54. What we need to look at is, how do we represent this markup? Well, we know the markup was 30% of the original price. What we're going to be working with here is that the amount of the markup will be the percent times the original price of the book. Bringing that down to the equation we're trying to set up, I know the amount of the markup is going to be 30% times the original price of the book. So my equation becomes b plus 0.3b equals 137.54. The original price of the book b plus 30% more of that book's original price will then equal the price we charge the students. To solve this equation, our next step is to now simplify both sides of the equation. We want to remember that b represents 1b. We don't typically write the 1 in front of the b, but we can if we need to. So when we add b plus 0.3b, that's really saying 1b plus 0.3b is 1.3b. So 1.3b equals 137.54. As a final step in solving, we now need to eliminate the coefficient on the variable. We currently have 1.3b equals 137.54. So to remove that 1.3 in front of the b, we need to recognize that's being multiplied, so we need to divide. Divide both sides by 1.3. To do this division, I will rely upon my calculator, and so I'll bring that up and type in 137.54 divided by 1.3, and my calculator shows that is 105.8. So b is equal to 105.8. At this point, we definitely want to check that this is going to be the correct answer. So to check it, I'm going to go back to the original wording of the problem. The bookstore bought a book for $105.80, and then they added 30% of that 105.80. The question is, does that actually give us to the student book price of 137.54? We'll bring our calculators out, and we'll type this in. 105.8 plus 30%, 0.3 times 105.8. And we can see that the calculator is returning 137.54 would be the marked up price. So we're confident that we have the correct price of the book, and we'll answer the question in a complete sentence. How much did the bookstore pay for the book? The bookstore paid $105.80 for the book. Be sure to include the unit in both the variable definition and the final sentence answer.